The map of the world lies to you. When you look at North Africa, you see a blank, yellow void, a static wasteland of silence and heat. We are taught that the Sahara is eternal, a place where life is the exception. But this is the greatest illusion in geography. The sand is not a floor, it is a ceiling. It is a lid clamped down over a world that was, until very recently, violently alive. We are standing on top of a crime scene where the evidence has been buried under millions of tons of silica. If you were to strip away the dunes, you wouldn't find a flat, empty pan. You would find the dried veins of mega rivers that once rivaled the Amazon. You would find the footprints of civilizations that vanished before history could write down their names. You would find the bones of monsters that have no business being in a desert. Before we dig any deeper into the sand, look down. If that subscribe button is still red, click it right now. We unearth the world's darkest secrets every day, and you don't want the algorithm to bury the next discovery from you. To understand the Sahara is not to study a desert, it is to study a ghost. And the deeper we dig, the more uncomfortable the truth becomes. This barren hellscape was once the most fertile place on Earth, and it didn't die slowly. It was murdered by the sun. The first crack in the illusion is visible only from the edge of space. When the Gemini astronauts first looked down at the Western Sahara, they didn't see sand. They saw an eye staring back at them. In Mauritania, a perfect bullseye 40 kilometers wide scars the surface of the planet. It is called the Richat Structure. From the ground, it is a confusing maze of walls and valleys invisible in its scope, but from orbit, its symmetry is terrifying. It looks artificial, like a massive fortress or the impact site of a weapon that fused the earth into glass. For decades, it fueled whispers of Atlantis, a lost city ringed by water, swallowed by the earth. Geology offers a colder but no less spectacular explanation. It is a geological dome, a blister of magma that tried to break the surface millions of years ago and failed. The wind sheared off the top, leaving exposed rings of rock like the layers of a sliced onion. It is not a city, but it stands as a monument to the forces that shape this land, violent, massive, and indifferent to human myth. But if the eye is a trick of geology, what lies in the east is a biological impossibility. In the Egyptian desert, far from any coast, there is a valley called Wadi Al-Hitan. The ground here crunches underfoot, not with gravel, but with the calcium of death. Scattered across the scorching sands are the spines of whales. These are not the whales we know today. These are Basilosaurus, serpentine predators, 60 feet long with jaws designed to crush bone. They ruled a warm, shallow sea that once covered this entire continent. The most disturbing detail isn't their size, it's their anatomy. Fossilized near their tails are tiny vestigial legs. These creatures were caught in the evolutionary moment of returning to the ocean, only to be trapped when the ocean retreated. They died here, millions of years ago, when the Tethys Sea evaporated. The desert preserved them in a tomb of silence, proof that the ground we walk on is fickle. The ocean is not a permanent feature of our planet, it is a visitor. And in the Sahara, the visitor left a long time ago. However, the whales are ancient history. The true horror of the Sahara is how recently it was a paradise for us. Deep in the Algerian plateau of Tassili Najer, the landscape resembles a broken planet, towers of eroded stone rising from the sand. But inside these canyons, the walls are covered in art. Thousands of paintings, vibrant and desperate. They do not depict camels or scorpions. They depict a savanna teeming with life. We see hippopotamus, animals that require deep water to survive. We see elephants, giraffes, and crocodiles. We see men in canoes navigating broad rivers. This is not the hallucination of a dying traveler. This is a record of daily life. These paintings reveal the existence of the Green Sahara. Only 5,000 years ago, a blink of an eye in geological time, this entire region was a lush network of lakes and grasslands. It was filled with humans who thrived without the need for war, fed by an abundance of nature. But the paintings also capture the end. As the centuries pass on the rock walls, the animals disappear. The rivers shrink. The figures become stick-like, armed with weapons, fighting over the last muddy waterholes. The climate shifted. The Earth's axis wobbled slightly, ending the humid period, and the rain simply stopped. The paradise burned down. The refugees from this environmental collapse fled east, crowding around the only water source left, the Nile. It is very likely that the great Egyptian civilization was built by the survivors of the Green Sahara, a culture born from the trauma of losing their world. Yet, not everyone ran. In the heart of the emptiness in what is now modern Libya, satellites have identified the geometric shadows of a lost empire. For years, historians dismissed the Garamantes as simple nomads, but the infrared scans tell a different story. They built fortress cities. They commanded armies on chariots. They dominated the trade routes. But how? How do you build an empire in a furnace? They didn't look up for rain. They looked down. The Garamantes possessed engineering skills that rivaled Rome. They dug thousands of kilometers of underground tunnels, manually hacking through bedrock to tap into fossil water trapped beneath the desert floor. They mined water like we mine gold. They built a thriving civilization on a non-renewable resource. It worked for a few centuries. They bloomed in the desert, wealthy and powerful. But the water ran out, the water table dropped, the tunnels went dry, and just like that, the sand reclaimed them. Their cities collapsed, leaving only outlines visible from space, a warning about the arrogance of fighting the climate with finite resources. The desert is not just a graveyard of water, it is a graveyard of fire. In the Great Sand Sea, explorers have found pieces of glass scattered across the dunes. It is canary yellow, translucent, and incredibly pure. This is Libyan desert glass. It was so valued that a piece of it was carved into a scarab beetle and placed on the chest of King Tutankhamun for his journey into the afterlife. For decades, the origin of this glass was a mystery. To turn sand into glass of this quality requires a temperature of nearly 2,000 degrees Celsius. No volcano could do it. No ancient furnace could achieve it. The answer came from computer simulations. 29 million years ago, a rocky asteroid entered the atmosphere above the Sahara. It didn't strike the ground. It exploded in the air with the force of 1,000 nuclear warheads. The thermal pulse was so intense that it didn't just burn the ground, it liquefied it. The desert floor melted instantly, turning into a sea of molten glass that cooled into the yellow gems we find today. The Sahara has been scarred by water, by drought, and by fire from the sky. But the greatest secret of the Sahara isn't what is dead. It is what is waiting. The Garamantes tapped into something they couldn't fully comprehend. Today, we know the truth. Beneath the layers of sand, ancient rock, and whale bones lies the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer. It is a subterranean ocean trapping over 150,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water. It is the ghost of the Green Sahara, the rain that fell millions of years ago, seeping down and waiting in the dark. It is the world's largest fossil water reserve. Modern engineering has pierced this reservoir. The Great Man-Made River project in Libya is a web of massive pipes pumping this ancient water to the surface to grow crops in the middle of the wasteland. It proves that life can return here, but it also proves that we haven't learned the lesson of the Garamantes. This water is not refilling. When it is gone forever. We are drinking the last traces of a lost world. The Sahara forces us to confront a terrifying reality. Stability is a myth. We look at our green forests, our coastlines, and our cities, and we assume they are permanent. But the rock art of Tassili N'Ajjer proves that the people of the Green Sahara thought the same thing. They watched their rivers dry up and their world turn to dust. The desert is a dynamic, violent engine. It breathes, it expands, and one day the cycle will turn again. The Earth's wobble will shift, the monsoons will drift north, and the grass will crack through the silica. The dunes will be washed away by new rivers, and our modern cities may become the new ruins hidden beneath the vegetation. The sand is not empty. It is simply waiting for its turn to speak. If you want to uncover more of the history buried beneath the surface, make sure you are subscribed. The world is older than we think, and we have only scratched the surface.